Tonight on Nebraska Nightly.
How Congress and the White House are taking aim at Chinese-owned social media app TikTok.
Plus, Nebraska railroad workers pushing for Legislative Bill 31 to improve public safety.
But first, fake phone calls claiming an active shooter in multiple schools across the state of Nebraska, and what we have learned from State Patrol and LPD.
This is Nebraska Nightly.
Live from the University of Nebraska College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Thank you for joining us this Friday as we are officially in spring season. I'm Macy Newmeister.
And I'm Jackson Atwell. I think the warm weather is finally starting to set in, Macy.
Yes, and I am excited to see the flowers blooming and the bees buzzing after a cold winter.
Very true. Across Nebraska, from Valentine to Lincoln High School, 911 dispatch centers responded yesterday to multiple calls from people reporting school shootings. There were at least 10 fake phone calls placed, many of them being posing as teachers from within the school. Nebraska State Patrol says these calls masked their identity and location. It was quickly determined these allegations were fake, but many schools did go into lockdown for a brief period. NSP is unsure of the motive at this time.
A Lincoln man was arrested in one night for driving under the influence. Police stopped Joshua Steckley near 27th and E Streets around 9:45. The traffic stop ended with Steckley in custody on suspicion of DUI. Police cited him and turned him over to someone sober who drove him home. 4 hours later, driving the same car, Lincoln police say Steckley crashed into a fence near 59th and Holdridge Streets. Police say he was still drunk at the time. Steckley is the only one involved in the crash, and he is now in jail on 2 counts of DUI, negligent driving, and having no insurance.
Last Monday, Lincoln police had a standoff with Lincoln man Stephen Schiffermiller. LPD responded to a call reporting a threatening man. Police say they saw Schiffermiller run back into a home near 36th and Van Dorn Street as soon as they arrived on the scene, and Schiffermiller barricaded himself inside. After a few hours of waiting, Schiffermiller gave himself up to the police. Police arrested Schiffermiller for terroristic threats and outstanding arrest warrants.
A new bill in Nebraska legislature would require every freight train in the state to have at least 2 crew members. Nebraska Nightly's Chloe Sanders reports on what the bill would mean for public safety.
Bill LB 31 is trying to make crossings like these safer. If passed, every train in Nebraska would be required to have 2 crew members on board.
The engineer's in charge of moving the train. The conductor's in charge of the train.
This is a public safety issue.
Senator Mike Jacobson proposed the bill. He says a 2 crew member requirement will protect his constituents. Trains today are up to 3 miles long, and when they get stopped, they can block crossings for miles and cause issues.
Whether they got a medical emergency, you can't get an ambulance across, whether they have a house on fire, whether they're out of milk and just need to get to the grocery store.
In the past, crew size has been decided through contracts between the union and the railroad. But Jacobson says keeping the public out of it is unfair.
We don't have a seat at the table.
In a statement, Union Pacific says they can still be safe without 2-man crews, and no data shows the bill will ensure safety. Pfeiffer says the railroad's opposition is driven by profit, not safety.
They try and take a person off a train. That's a business plan. When we try and keep a person on a train, it's a safety initiative.
There will be a hearing on LB 31 here at the Capitol on March 6th. Reporting for the Nebraska News Service, this is Chloe Sander.
This bill is currently still in the committee phase, but we will add and keep updating. Anything could change soon. Wagging tails, soft purrs, and big smiles were seen at the Nebraska Humane Society over the weekend. Guests got into free behind-the-scenes look at the shelter as staff worked to find as many forever homes. The Omaha site is peaking in the numbers of animals seen in the shelter.
The problem that we have is that we keep getting strays in and we keep needing to move animals out so that we have room for those strays.
During the event, all dogs 40 pounds and heavier were pick your price to help get some of those bigger couch potatoes into a new home. Well, the weather has looked great over the last week, right, Jackson?
Yes, of course, and I'm getting really excited for some summer weather coming. Sydney.
Here's what meteorologist Sydney Thomas has to say.
Thank you, Macy. Well, as we can see, on Wednesday, we are going to get a little bit snow, so those nice conditions that we are seeing will not last for long. We will have a high of 40 degrees on Wednesday with some snow up to about 2 inches. And as we can see, this weather is going to be, well, the storm system, will be moving down to Nebraska with the cold front that is coming in soon afterwards. We're also seeing some high wind gusts as well, so just be prepared for the weather conditions coming up. Back to you at the desk, Jackson and Macy.
We will give you more on weather and the 7-day forecast.
A look into the devastating tornadoes in Oklahoma and Kansas.
And the U.S. Congress's looks on banning TikTok for some phones.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
It is the latest devastation from massive winter storm system marching across the country. There are at least 9 tornado reports across Oklahoma and Kansas. Most of the tornadoes touching down in Oklahoma on Sunday, damaging homes, flipping over cars, and hurting at least a dozen people. Police in Norman, Oklahoma confirmed at least 12 weather-related injuries. No deaths were reported. In contrast to the weather in Oklahoma, weather here has been pretty nice.
I am actually really excited to see what the weather is going to be like this weekend, so I'm going to turn it over to Sydney Thomas, our meteorologist, for more.
The weather has been pretty nice here. Unfortunately, it will start to cool down again, but currently it is sunny with a high of 53 degrees today, which is about the temperature is right now, and we are going to be seeing some wind gusts at the northwest of about 6 miles per hour and 8-mile-per-hour gusts. If we move on to the rest of today, we will see that we're going to be in partly cloudy conditions, again a high of 53 degrees and wind 7 miles per hour with 10-mile-per-hour gusts. And tonight it's going to be a little bit more cloudy with a low of down to 28 degrees with, again, some low winds. If we move on to the almanac today, we will see that we are about higher of an average than we usually are, with 24 degrees usually being our low for today and 47 usually being the high today, unlike the temperatures we are currently seeing. This is nowhere near where we were in the previous years in 2019 with a low of 8 degrees, but 40 years ago with a high of 78 degrees. I cannot imagine being that hot in March right now. If we move into our 7-day forecast, we will see that Saturday and Sunday it continues to be sunny and warms back up on Sunday, but then on Monday we'll start to cool down, 45 degrees, 42 degrees being the high, and then on Wednesday we're going to see some of that snow, and then cloudy conditions again on Thursday and Friday, conditions continuing to cool down. Now, if we move on to our surface pressure map, we will see that we are currently behind a cold front, and the high pressure is up in Wyoming, and then low pressure in Dallas, which could also explain why there's so many severe storms in the south right now due to that low pressure. But if we look up, we can see some of the snow conditions are going to start coming down as well as the as well as the cold front coming through. Now back to you at the desk, Jackson and Macy.
Thank you, Sydney. I'm glad to hear that this weekend's going to be warm, but not looking forward to that cold weather coming up.
I'm not ready for snow in March. I think we need to get back to some sunshine.
Yeah, for sure. Turning to national news, you may have watched the new Murdaugh trial docuseries on Netflix. Well, now the real-life inspiration gets a life sentence. Gloria Pozzomino has more.
New data released by the federal government shows inflation did the exact opposite of what economists projected and what Americans are hoping for. The numbers reveal inflation rose by 0.5%, raising the consumer price index to 6.4% higher than what it was in January of 2022. Economists were hoping to see a drop in prices with the new year, but the prices went up from nearly everything, including food, housing, and energy costs.
The White House and Congress are taking aim at the Chinese-owned social media app TikTok. Cole Higgins reports TikTok could soon be banned from all U.S. government-issued devices.
The powerful House Foreign Affairs Committee holding a hearing on the threat from China to national security.
We are living through one of the most dangerous periods in American foreign policy in a generation.
The committee is also set to vote on a bill that would empower the Biden administration to impose a nationwide ban on the Chinese-owned social media app TikTok if the White House determines TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance, knowingly transferred TikTok's user data to any foreign person working for or under the influence of the Chinese government. Sanctions would be required if the Biden administration determines the companies helped the Chinese government engage in surveillance, hacking, and censorship or intelligence gathering, among other things.
I don't have TikTok on my phone. I think there is strong evidence that TikTok is working with the CCP and sharing that data.
TikTok says, quote, it would be unfortunate to censor millions of Americans and do so based not on actual intelligence, but on a basic misunderstanding of our corporate structure. Already, though, the White House telling federal agencies they have 30 days to remove TikTok from all government-issued devices. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson saying, quote, I can't believe that the United States, as the world's #1 superpower, is so afraid of a mobile phone application popular among young people. This shows a lack of confidence. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
The American Civil Liberties Union is blasting the legislation as vague and overboard. More than half of all U.S. states have partially or fully banned TikTok on government devices. The House committee is expected to take it a step further with another bill to ban TikTok nationwide.
Next, the Husker women's basketball tournament is in Indianapolis.
Men's basketball senior night.
And a show looking at how cycling is raising in popularity after the break.
Toilets can use 5 to 7 gallons per flush, making it the main source of water use in a home. You can lose more than 20 gallons of water a day from a single drippy faucet. Kitchen faucets use about 1.5 to 2 gallons per minute, whereas older faucets use more water. Wasting water is wasting time. Stop water waste now.
Don't let it happen to other Big Ten schools. Go to saveourdinos.org to learn more.
We've had a big week in Husker sports. We're going to have more of a look on that with our sports reporter, Nathan Hawkins. Nathan?
Thanks, Macy. Well, 4 months of action all comes down to this. It's tournament time for basketball as teams play to secure themselves spots in the postseason. That includes women's basketball, who traveled to Indianapolis for the Big Ten tournament. Their matchup, the Michigan State Spartans. Games are made in the fourth quarter, so that's where we'll take you. Nebraska led early in the fourth quarter, but this three capped a 14-0 run by Michigan State, and the bench is hitting the good night, Selly, but don't go to sleep yet. Over 2 minutes on the clock, Alexis Markowski nails the three. It's a 5-point game, under a minute to go now. Izzy Bourne in the corner, she drains the three, and it's a 3-point game. And now it's Husker ball, 7 seconds. Jazz Shelley Heave is no good. She gets her own rebound. Kroll for the tie, and it's no good. The Huskers bounced in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, and this spells trouble for NU. Shelley with a game-high 24, but the run by Michigan State was too much to overcome. ESPN had Nebraska on the bubble of the tournament, and they may have just seen their bubble burst. Men's hoops still with some work to do before the Big Ten tournament. On a 4-game winning streak, they celebrated senior night on Tuesday. Emmanuel Bandumel, Derek Walker, Sam Griesel, and Keisei Tominaga were all honored ahead of their matchup with Michigan State. The question, however, is, will Keisei Tominaga return another year? He has an extra year due to COVID, and his decision is awaiting. But one thing is true, though, he still has a lot of ball to give. Keisei to the rack, and he's losing his mind on the court. The Huskers were in complete control early. They led by 12 at the half, but here come the Spartans. They made 12 threes in the second half and shot nearly 70% from the field. Meanwhile, the Huskers went cold, outscored by 25 in the final 20 minutes, and the win streak for Nebraska comes to an end. They were held off the scoreboard for nearly 8 minutes, and much like the women's team, they couldn't overcome the big run by the Spartans. While men's basketball will travel to Iowa for their regular season finale, Pinnacle Bank Arena is still buzzing throughout the weekend as the NSAA Girls State Basketball Tournament is in full swing. The tournament includes all classes of NSAA athletics with games at both the Bob Devaney Center and Pinnacle Bank Arena. After 2 days of action, today begins the semifinals with teams battling it out to go to their class championship. Last night, Omaha Skutt Catholic took down Waverly to continue their undefeated season, while Sydney took down Beatrice 43-37 in one of the best games of the tournament so far. Skutt Catholic and Sydney are in action right now with a trip to the Class B State Championship on the line. The fun will keep rolling at PBA tonight as Class A matchups between Millard South and Bellevue West before Millard North and Lincoln High. Be sure to tune in to KRNU2 tomorrow to find out which teams are hoisting trophies. In the meantime, let's turn our attention to the baseball field. And check this out. Earlier today, Nebraska tied 3-3 with number 7 Vanderbilt in the bottom of the 7th, and Garrett England sends it over the wall, a solo homer. The Huskers would add another run later in the inning, and down goes Vandy. 5-3, huge upset win for the Huskers. Ahead for them is Hawaii and number 4 Ole Miss, and we know now you can't count Will Bolt's squad out of any matchup. I guess you could say when there's a Will Bolt, there's a way. Well, Husker baseball will compete in their home opening series this weekend, signaling the spring season. And with spring sports approaching, warm weather activities are becoming possible. Nebraska Nightly's Caroline Frankie has more.
In 2022, around 52 million people in the United States cycled. Why is this such a popular trend these days? Well, it can easily boost not only your physical health, but also your mental health.
It's a stress relief, right? So, if you have anxiety and you go in and you are, or if you are riding outside, it's relieves stress, it relieves anxiety.
CEO of Fly Fitness, Jenny Brown, emphasizes the importance of community while cycling.
There's different communities, right? So outdoor cycling, there's all kinds of communities that ride together. So same kind of deal, because you can ride and share, you can chat and talk. Indoor cycling, same kind of thing. It's like a community of people who kind of have a shared interest.
Brown's background in sports psychology has helped her learn and see how cycling can positively benefit mental and physical health.
We get too caught up in the idea of that fitness is like to get skinny or to work to change your body, but it actually changes the way your mind works, changes how you feel about yourself. And so if we kind of shifted the way that people thought about going out for a bike ride, it's actually not to lose weight, it's actually to improve your mental health.
Here in downtown Lincoln, we see places like Fly Fitness that are implementing indoor cycling. But just outside of the city, we see outdoor trails that many are using for the same thing.
Wednesdays is called Pub Peddlers, and we meet at a restaurant, and then we'll go for a short ride and then come back and eat supper together.
At Lorenz, bike leader for Great Plains Bicycling Club, says that the community aspect is what connects everyone in the group.
The people that I ride with, it's all different walks of life too. It's not what you would think it would be.
Weekly bike rides with his closest friends is something very important to Lorenz, but there is one thing that really stands out to him.
Scenery, gravel, being out in the country and just watching the scenery.
The sense of community, positivity, and health all factor into the love of cycling. To find more information on trails in Lincoln, there is a Facebook page with weekly dates of cycling groups. Reporting from Nebraska News Service, I'm Caroline Franke.
Coming up after the break, we have a look at entertainment with Reed Greger.
Don't let it happen to other Big Ten schools. Go to saveourdinos.org to learn more.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
Going back in time
to science experiments
and more, we will have a look at this week's dose of entertainment with Reed Greger. Reed?
Who doesn't love a good flashback to the 80s? Well, you can explore the wonders of this decade through roller skating on the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's campus. This Saturday and Sunday, UNL is hosting a roller skate revival in the Centennial Room of the Nebraska Student Union. The event is free for UNL students. You can find more info at events.unl.edu. For our curious Cornhuskers out there looking to expand your senses, Morrill Hall is hosting a special science lab this Saturday. As a part of their Investigate initiative, explore the 5 senses and beyond with their talented staff from 10 to 1 this Saturday. People of all ages are encouraged to come get hands-on experience with the science behind the senses beyond the 5 we know. Visit the Morrill Hall website for more information. For a taste of Lincoln local theater, the Nebraska Repertory Theater is putting on the play Stop Kiss this week. Stop Kiss follows a young woman leaving the Midwest to teach 3rd grade in the Big Apple and finds love with a New York native. The play has been described as surprisingly funny and deeply relevant. If that sounds like your type of theater-going experience, visit the Nebraska Repertory Theater website for more information. Are you a hockey fan? Well, this Saturday, the Lincoln Stars are going up against the Waterloo Blackhawks. Fun can be found for attendees of all ages, while the whole family can enjoy the hockey game with some snacks and beverages. The game will be at the Icebox in Lincoln. More information can be found on the Lincoln Stars website or by downloading the Lincoln Stars app in the App Store.
On Wednesday, around 30 students and 3 faculty members traveled to Nashville for a conference on data journalism.
Data journalism is a journalistic process on analyzing and filtering large data sets for creating or elevating news stories. This is going to be an outstanding experience for the individuals involved. We can get ourselves to a live look to see what's happening.
Thanks, Macy and Jackson. That's right. We're here in Nashville at the conference. This is day 2. So, Lance, what's one thing you've enjoyed so far?
I've enjoyed just meeting all the data journalists here at this conference. They're really friendly. That's something that Matt Wade said before. I was a little bit scared that I wasn't going to be able to meet anybody. But, you know, so far I've met people from The Guardian, the Daily News and Observer out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Also a lot of fellow college students as well. I met somebody even today in the elevator from the University of Iowa. No bad blood between us. Actually a very nice person. But, you know, I've just enjoyed the people the most.
That's great. And one thing I've really enjoyed so far was one of the classes I took. It was called Data and Digital Tools for Your Newsroom and Classroom. I took this with Mike Riley, Mike Riley is actually an alumni of our college, and so it was really cool to learn from him and his journalism toolbox and how we can incorporate some of those resources into our workflow. Lance, going into the next couple of days, we have about a day and a half left. What's one thing you're looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to all these sessions that they're having, especially one that I'm going to be going to today. It's called 30 Places to Find Data to Cover Issues in Your Community. And I just feel like with that session, I'm going to learn of many great resources that I can use and take back and that we can use on Nebraska Nightly.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been a great event so far. One thing I'm really looking forward to is the great thing about this conference is not only do they have sessions for learning about data journalism, but they also have sessions specifically for networking. So my last session tomorrow of actually the whole conference will be a networking session with other female journalists. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, you know, we have another day and a half here, and we're going to be here just to enjoy it. So back to you and back to Macy and Jackson at the desk.
A great experience to build better journalists and create a better understanding of data.
Speaking of great experiences, this weekend looks to be pretty warm. What can you tell us about that, Sydney?
It is going to warm up quite a bit, but then the temperatures are going to drop because of that cold front that's coming through. And then we are getting a bit of precipitation from the north, which is going to cause us to have some snow. So it's not going to be very nice for very long.
I am not here for any more snow. I think it's time to get spring kicked in.
Yeah, it is March.
Well, thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you next week. This has been Nebraska Nightly.